is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to this morning's Marketing Clinic with your hosts, James McDonald and Craig Proctor.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea. And I'd like to start, as always, by welcoming our participants to our ad clinic session here this morning. I want to thank everybody, especially who uploaded ads to the ad clinic file. If you do it now, you will be too late, but we will look at them next Friday. The whole point of this is, over time, what you're going to start to find is that there are rules that we observe when we're running different ad campaigns. And the rules aren't always the same. As a matter of fact, very seldom are they the same for each kind of marketing campaign, whether it's branded, unbranded, print ad, or online. In other words, the rules are going to depend on what the ad is and the medium, etc. But you'll get your mind wrapped around it so that when you run your ads, they're far more likely to generate the kind of response that you're looking for. Now, first of all, Craig and Andrea, good morning to both of you.
Good morning, James McDonald. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak over top of you, Andrea. We'll let ladies go first. Andrea, how are you this morning?
I am so great. Thanks for asking.
You really are. Yeah, and I feel equally as great this morning, James.
Yes. Well,
hey, do you want to hear a funny story, James?
I love funny stories.
Okay, so I've had this irritating kind of like interference on my phone line, on my headset. So I call Bell, and they come over and they spend 2 hours tearing my whole house apart and trying to figure it out, changing out the headset, the phone line, and all that stuff. And you want to know what it was? I just figured it out. I got this new wireless router, and all I had to do was move it 2 feet away, and it stopped. Yeah, so I wasted 2 hours of my life on this, and it was. Then I looked at this router just before I got on this line, and I thought, okay, I'm going to be irritated by this phone line because I couldn't fix it. And then I take the router, I move it 2 feet over, problem solved.
That's odd.
So that is odd. But anyway, I fixed it.
Yes, you are quite the handyman.
And we're going to fix some ads today. Andrea and I were looking at a few of the ads that were submitted before we got started here this morning, and we've got a wide selection. So we should get right into fixing ads. And remember, our objective here is to help you generate as many high-quality leads as possible at the lowest possible cost. So that's the game we play here every Friday. Not only will you get your ads critiqued, you're going to hear James and I, and Andrea now, she's an expert at this, critique your ads. And, it may sound like we're being kind of nitpicky with some little, changes that we want you to make, but we wouldn't suggest you do things that aren't going to help. I mean, we really want you to get maximum response. So let's have a look at this first ad. And this first ad, Andrea, was submitted by who?
Stephen Chen.
Stephen Chen. Okay, now Stephen, I hope you're with us. This is an editorial style ad. We can't see how the headlines look. They're probably justified left. This headline is centered. We can see the column width is pretty good. It looks pretty much like the column of the editorial content above. Positioning, we'd prefer to have it up in the top right-hand corner where the picture of the man and lady are holding hands. That would be better positioning. But overall, the ad looks pretty good. James, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what page this is on, but as a rule of thumb, it says A7. Okay, so that's all right. The closer to the front of the paper you are, the more eyeballs are going to see your ad. They're going to read the headline. And so remember that when it comes to positioning, in terms of positioning both in the paper and then positioning on the page, there are two different things. Positioning on the page, we prefer to have the top of the page, the right-hand side of the page versus the bottom page, below the fold. But in terms of in the newspaper, we prefer to have the editorial as close to the front of the newspaper as possible because people read the paper from front to back. So the more you're going to get a lot more people reading the first few pages of the newspaper than the last few pages of the newspaper. Not only that, but that's where most of the articles are written. So you want yours to look like community news. It definitely reads like community news, but if it's surrounded by other newsworthy articles, it adds even more credibility to the ad.
You just said something that I've never really thought of, but it makes sense. Important stories are at the front. That's why they call it front page news.
Stories. Right, and that's why I read this. It says Disney Dreams. Hardly earth-shattering stuff, I would think. But, I mean, the point is that if this was on page A3, probably you'd find a lot more community news stories that are maybe of a little bit more importance, perhaps a little more newsworthy. I mean, I don't know what this story is about, so I shouldn't say that it isn't newsworthy. But you get the point, right? The closer to the front of the paper your ad is, the more credibility it's going to have as community news, which means more people will read it and ultimately respond. So I like this ad a lot. I love that it says Clovis in the headline. I think that's really important with an editorial ad, that the headline establish the area that's being targeted.
Okay, look at ad number 2. Ad number 2 has really great positioning. So that's the positioning that James was just describing. Okay, top right-hand corner. However, it's surrounded by other ads.
Yeah.
So this is our buddy Ernie in Tampa, Florida with Exit Realty. So Ernie, great positioning as far as where the ad is on the page, but it would be so much better if we could have it on a page like this that's surrounded by editorial. If it's surrounded by ads, then your article, tends to look like an ad as well. Let's go to ad number 3.
But look at this. But by the way, Craig, this is what I really like about these editorial ads. Even though there's all kinds of improvement, the ad still generated 6 leads so far. And what that means is that when we make these small improvements, it won't cost Ernie any more money, but we might be able to go from 6 leads to 16 leads by making the ad more visible because it's run further to the front of the newspaper.
Right. So Ernie says this ad cost $137. So whether Ernie gets 6 leads or 16 leads, the ad still costs $137. Everybody getting this? That's what we want to do, is we want to squeeze more out of our marketing dollars. If we go to ad number 3, ad number 3 appears to be a Facebook ad being run in Gilbert, Arizona. It's where our good buddy Lester Cox lives. It says, for sale by owner, what realtors don't want you to know. I've got a better headline. I really do believe this is a better headline through testing that I want to share with you. Andrea, could we go over to the ad generator under editorial ads for sellers and share with everybody what I believe is a better headline?
Okay.
Yeah, and so what you're saying, Craig, is we're going to borrow the headline from the editorial.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the idea. The messages work. We're just tailoring them for different media.
Okay, so I want to make sure everybody gets that. Craig's not suggesting you run an editorial on Facebook. What he's suggesting is if you're going to use a for sale by owner headline, this is a much better headline.
Okay, so let me tell you about this headline here. How to sell your new market house without an agent and save the commission. Now, it was Todd Walters that reminded me that we were missing the best part of that headline. What that used to say was how to sell your home, how to sell your new market house without an agent. That's a feature. That's not a benefit. The benefit is and save the commission. So we added that to the headline, and it worked much better. So I am going to suggest that if this headline was being used in that Facebook ad, it would work better than the existing headline. So let's go to our next ad, which is ad number 4. And this is from Terry in Ottawa. And you've got your brother-in-law. He's from Ottawa. Is he still live in Ottawa, James?
No, he lives in Toronto.
Okay, he lives in Toronto. Anyway.
Where the Blue Jays better win today.
Yes. So Terry is in Ottawa. And, okay, so we've got a hot list of Ottawa first-time buyer homes. So that's okay. But then we go on to say, get your copy by filling out the form on this page. Well, I don't see a form on this page.
And not only that, but honestly, when these ads are run from a realtor, the reluctancy of the prospect to ask for the information, well, first of all, just to click on the ad, but second, to ask for the information, it goes way down. That's why what you'll find is superior is instead of this coming from you, Terry, the realtor, instead, you want it to come from an information source. So if you look at a lot of the really good examples that we have from Facebook ads, you'll notice that instead of coming from a realtor, they're coming from, Ottawa real estate buzz.
Well, how about this? I was thinking, what if Terry, okay, she removes her picture and name, and it says Ottawa First-Time Buyer Network.
Right.
Free
Like,
list of all Ottawa first-time buyer homes between this price range and that price range. Now, Terry, we don't want to tell them they have to fill out a form, right? I hope Terry's with us. The perception that we're giving prospects when they see this ad on Facebook is if they click the ad, they're going to see a list of the homes. Now, we know that that's not going to happen. When they click it, they're going to go to a landing page with Success website where they actually do have to fill out a form. But why tell them that bad news on the Facebook ad? Because they're not going to click on it in the first place.
Benefit first.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Right?
Andrea, show an
ad,
example of an ad that offers a list of properties. A Facebook ad. I think you showed one earlier on. Not an online home evaluation, but a list of properties. Okay, and this is what Terry should be copying. But I want you to notice this with all of the ads. They're not coming from a realtor. They're coming from an information source. This one is York Region and GTA Homes Info. Far less threatening, right? Free list of homes with pictures now priced well below market value. Click on the link below. Right, we're going to baby step.
Now you'll notice. I think this is coming from Alex, is it not?
This one we're looking at right here, probably.
Okay, could be Alex, could be Sam. But anyway, you'll notice that our member here is not saying, "Oh, when you get there, there's a form on the page you have to fill out." Right.
Yeah, it'd be like you know, in a seller one saying, my commission is 6%. Like, it's totally unnecessary to do that.
Okay, so we made the point. Let's move on to ad number next. Ad number next, number 5. How to avoid costly housing mistakes during and after of divorce. So again, this is another editorial ad. Well, I never ran this one on Facebook, so be interested to know what the results are. How to avoid costly housing mistakes during after divorce.
I'm not going to tell you that this won't be effective. What I am going to say, though, is that I know what works overwhelmingly the best on Facebook, and that is offering online home evaluations and offering lists of great deals. Those work the best. Now, does that mean this won't work? No, it doesn't mean that necessarily, but I certainly know that if this doesn't work, I know exactly what you're going to do next.
All right, so what you're saying is you would start with the things that you know work.
Yes.
Okay, ad number 6. I think these are all, well, obviously, they're all from the same member. Obviously. Ad number 6, another Facebook ad. Move up to your own home. Hang on, am I reading this right? Move up to your own home for less than monthly rent. Okay. I get it. Move up to your own home. It's kind of awkward, but move up to your own home for less than your monthly rent.
So the word up in there is what's confusing you. Move to your own home, buy your own home, own your own home for less than your monthly rent. That's what it really should say. Own your own home.
Yeah, I don't even like that headline. The headline I would use is why rent when you can own. Isn't that what we're trying to say? Why rent when you can own? Free list of all Gilbert, Arizona homes that you can buy for less than rent. Free list between this price range and that price range. Or free list of all first-time Gilbert homes that available with super low down payments and payments less than $1,800 a month.
Something else that I often comment on when it comes to these Facebook ads is the picture that you use. Because when people are scrolling through their news feed, they're going to look at the picture. 99 out of 100 people are going to look at the picture instead of reading, move up to your own home for less than monthly rent. For every one person that reads that, there'll be 99 that just look at the picture. So the picture is really important. And if you use a map of Gilbert, like we've seen in some of the other examples.
Go to ad number 7. Ad number 7 is using a map. So I think your point here with ad number 6, James, is I'm scanning through this on Facebook, and I go, oh, that couple just had a baby. See, there's a picture of them with their new baby.
Right, they just moved through, right. But this one is different. This is coming from Las Vegas Home Info, and that's your area. You're like, oh, Henderson, that's where I live. And You know, I think you'll find the difference is pretty stark.
Well, this ad's being run properly. Okay,
really
so here's what I have to say about this ad. Yes, that one works. That one's going to work. It's being run properly. So that's what we, like we have examples that if you folks just copy the examples, it'll work. So here's someone that just did that. Here's one of our members that just took, one of our examples and they've copied it. And, I have nothing critical to say about this because I would be criticizing my own work. Let's go to ad number next. Okay, boom, there's another one, same member. Receive priority access to active listings and beat out other new buyers. Instead of active, I'd say hot new listings because active sounds like I can get them anywhere. I can go to realtor.com. Receive priority access to hot new listings and beat out other buyers to the newest listings in the Las Vegas area.
What you want to do is, and by the way, at the bottom it says hot listings for Las Vegas area, but remember this, what creates a sense of urgency is what Craig calls proprietary information. Proprietary information means you need to make this sound like these properties are in some way special or limited or hard to find. There's something about these properties that is different that you couldn't get elsewhere, that if you do not respond to this ad, you will never see these properties ever again. And that's why it's so effective when you can use words like distress sales, foreclosure deals, anything that gives the perception of limited is, what it does is it creates a sense of urgency. It means you need to click on it now or you lose out. So you will perhaps double your response by doing that. Instead of only offering a list of active listings, the active listings should be great deals, must sell, reduced, below market, distressed. That's what creates a sense of urgency when you're offering properties like this. All right, let's keep going.
I'm reading some of the chat questions here.
Oh.
Alexandra says, hey, is it only me? But I always read the newspaper from the back to front. So I just typed in, Alexandra, are you left-handed like me? Because I'm a lefty and I do that too. Think about it. If you're left-handed, you actually read it backwards. It's a lot of things I do backwards. But anyway, the point is, Alexandra, I don't know whether you're a lefty or a righty, but most people are not like you and I. Most people would read a publication from front to back. So I think we want to...
So when you buy a magazine, you start from the very back page and you read backwards?
Well, think about it. Yeah.
I am thinking about it.
Well, I mean, I would go to the front, but yeah, I would. It's easier for me if you're left-handed to go from the back to the front.
You know what? I can turn the page with either hand.
Well, you're special. You're special. I'm just saying that's the reason, the excuse I'm giving.
You're not writing the magazine. You're reading it. So.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not having this now.
Okay. Kevin Scott says, when placing ads in the local paper, etc., how can you tell them where to place the ads? Do they not have a say over where they go? Of course they have a say, but here's what we do, Kevin. So Kevin's point is, well, look, you just get what you get, right? Well, that's how it worked for many years when I was running my editorial ads. And I would tell the rep, hey, I really want it to run as close to the front of the newspaper as possible on the top half of the page on a right-hand side. So I'm probably not going to get page 1, right? So page 3 would be the next best. The top of page 3, top of page 5 would be the next best location, top of page 7, and so on. Now, I would say all of this, and then it would just, show up wherever it showed up. So then I said, well, look, I'm going to give you my instructions in writing, and please don't run my ad unless you can run the ad, based on this criteria. And guess what happens? After months and months of them saying it was impossible, we can't guarantee positioning, blah, 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 all of a sudden when, I'm not paying for the ad unless it runs that way, they were able to do it. So that's the way I worked on that. That's how I worked that.
The smaller the paper, the more they value you as a customer.
Yeah, but a lot of the smaller papers actually work better because they're community papers. I
That's
never
right.
ran these
So
editorial
in other
ads in the
words,
Toronto Star.
and they're cheaper. Right? So think about it. The smaller the newspaper, the more cooperative they are, the more local the distribution is, and the cheaper it is to run an ad in a smaller newspaper. So the more local you can get with the paper, the better in all ways.
Okay, Larry Barbata, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Larry, is asking, within the ad generator, you can preview your USP ads on your unbranded landing page. You can preview your USP ads on your unbranded landing page. I'm not getting that. Since USPs are meant to separate us from the pack, under what circumstances would we want to incorporate a USP ad on any unbranded material? I don't think we would. Is that messed up, Andrea? Do you follow what Larry's saying?
I do get what he's saying. And down here at the very bottom,
okay.
you can view the less or the branded. It's just the way all of the ads are for the ad generator. But yes, you would use branded for USPs.
Okay, good eyeball there, Larry. I didn't even notice that. But yes, you would never take an ad like this, a branded ad, and drive to your less branded. I think that's just the template that Adrian has all the way through the USP ad generator. It shows both a branded and less branded, but you're absolutely correct. You would only go to the branded version of that landing page.
And while we're
Ernest
on that,
says, well, look at, yeah.
I was going to say, I have a member that is saying that our ad generator is not working. Email me privately, and I will help you with that, Adele Reed.
Okay, Ernie's saying, look, with my newspaper, they're not flexible with placement. So try what I recommended a minute ago, Ernie. So look at, if you can't run it this way, I mean, that's cool, just don't run the ad. Because as James said, a smaller publication, they rely on this income. They want your money, right? So it might be a pain in the rear end, but if you really position it that way, if you can't run my ad based on my criteria, then don't run it at all. See, right now, they can run your ad wherever they want and still take your money, right? That's how it works right now. The game that you're playing, Ernie, is you say, I want it to look like this, 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 and run on this page. And they go, oh, yeah, we'll do our best. And who knows whether they even try. And basically, the ad runs wherever it runs, and you pay $137. So that's the way the game works right now, is you're going to pay them regardless of where the ad runs. So the only way to change that is you give them, a mandate in writing saying, here's my criteria. Okay, top half of the page, right-hand page only, as close to the front of the publication as possible. And if you can't run it on page 3, 5, or 7, the top, on the top half of the page, then don't bother running it at all. I understand you can't facilitate me, so I'll wait till next week. And guess what magically happens? The impossible becomes possible. All of a sudden now, every week, they're able to facilitate my modest requests.
Hey, here's something else that is interesting about the small local newspapers is that, Craig, the local paper, the Era Banner, comes out 3 times a week. And in a lot of communities, the small local newspapers might come out once or twice, maybe 3 times at most per week. And it's actually a huge advantage because what people tend to do is they take the newspaper, and because it's not daily, they keep it. They can keep it around. It's got some shelf life to it. So when you're running an ad and the paper only comes out once or twice a week, you're really getting the benefit of running an ad every day that week, even though it only came out in one issue of the newspaper. Whereas when it's a daily paper, it's a one hit, and then that newspaper is trashed, and the next one comes out. So you need to run your ad far more frequently than in a local paper where it's less frequently distributed.
Okay, Alexandra says actually she's right-handed. I don't know. I can't explain it, Alexandra. Maybe you got dropped on your head when you were a baby. I don't know what happened there, but most people read it from front to back. I know with lefties we've got an argument, but I don't know why. I don't know why you do that, Alexandra. Is anyone else? Anyone? Let's just do a survey.
I would recommend you try it. Just try it for just for experimental sake. Try it, reading it from the front, and see if you like it. I bet you will.
All right, well, let's have a little survey here. Is there anyone else that is right-handed that actually has a habit of reading the magazines backwards from back to front? Is there anyone else?
Or a newspaper. See, with a magazine, if articles are the same, throughout the magazine, then maybe that would work. But a newspaper, you'd be reading stereo ads for 15 minutes, right? I mean, you think about it. What's at the back of the paper? Classifieds, ads. You'd be looking at crossword puzzles, and then you'd finally get to the front and say, you'd find out that there's pressing news that would affect you or affect the world, and you wouldn't have even known about it because you're busy reading stereo ads. Anyway.
Okay, Larry says Larry says that he actually does read the magazines and newspapers from back to front, but he says, yes, I was dropped on my head.
Okay, well, that explains it.
Okay, let's move on here. Terry, we just looked at her ad. She had the Facebook ad in Ottawa, James. Terry says, perhaps I'm missing something. When running an ad on Facebook, don't you have to run it from your business Facebook page, which would have Terry Cahan Realtor? James, would you like to take that?
No, you don't have to. As a matter of fact, I got to be honest, what I would recommend, a lot of these ads that we're looking at from Facebook, you'll notice that they were run by Success Website. So since you have a Success Website, honestly, at least for the first couple ads that you set up, why don't you work with them to do it so that it's perfect? And then once they've done that, then you can sort of experiment a little bit, and you know your marketplace better. But let them help you set the ads up properly, set up your business account properly, etc. But you can clearly see here in looking at these examples that they do not come from a realtor. They do not come from a realtor. The most successful ones come from an information source. So, and that's what the prospect needs to see. So you need to set yours up that way, like everybody else has as well, who is successful in running Facebook ads. We're not going to tell them to stop and instead brand it to the real estate salesperson that will scare away all the prospects from asking for the information. But again, you should get on the phone with Success Website and let them do what they do.
I worked with, just to put a little information in, Terry is very budget conscious, and that was one of the issues. I had asked her if she was having anyone help her with this ad, and unfortunately, just at this moment, the $150 a month extra that it would cost is just not in her budget. So she is having to do it on her own. And one thing I do suggest for members who are starting out and may not have that budget to have someone help you is we do have a lot of Facebook webinars that will walk you through a step-by-step process on how to get your ads to look like this when you have to do it on your own.
Okay, so we have a few questions in chat about that. Maybe you can show everybody on the coaching website the webinars, the recorded webinars that we have in regards to Facebook. We've got a lot of questions about, how do I run these on Facebook? What are the steps to take? So we have several webinars, recorded webinars, that kind of walk you through what you need to do that would answer a lot of your questions. Many of you, of course, are using Success Website. I mean, I've got lots of questions about Facebook here. For example, a lot of you are asking about the maps. How do we create the maps? And we talked about that. I think we talked about that either this week or last week. But you can take a screenshot. You can just Google Map your area.
Go to your Google Maps, draw pins. Right, you draw pins. You know how to do that using your mouse. You draw pins. You could do it on your phone actually, and then take a screenshot, and then just email it to your inbox, and you've got a map of your area that you can zoom in and out depending on how tight you want your area to be, and you can just drop a bunch of pins.
All right, so Cassandra Eves, you were asking about that. So Cassandra, you can either have Success Website do it for you, or you can do exactly what James just said. Alexandra is back here, and she says, actually, she reads all magazines from the front. It's only newspapers that she reads from the back. So it's only a newspaper thing. Okay, Douglas Johnson Sr. He's asking, is off-market a good term to use, a good buzzword? I think so. I mean, what we're trying to do is create this perception that we're offering buyers something that they just can't get on their own at Realtor.com or on a gazillion other sites. So, James, you're very good at this. Why don't you rhyme off some great buzzwords to make what you're offering sound really proprietary?
Must sell, reduced, vacant, distressed, fixer, coming soon, investment opportunity, below market. Those are pretty good, huh?
Yeah. So, look at, we have to understand.
Fire sale.
Okay. So our choice is this. I want everyone to
divorce.
Understand. Okay, that's enough. Stop. Okay. So the challenge we have is this. Okay. We all sell the same things, right? That's what the public believes. We're all the same and we all sell the same things. And the truth is we're all members of MLS and we have access to exactly the same information. So I guess I could run an ad that said, call me, I'm the same as all the other agents. And the truth is me and all the other agents in town, we all have access to the exact same information. We could do that. Or we could attempt to differentiate ourselves from everybody else by using these words that James is talking about here to create a perception, because that's all marketing is. Marketing is not about what's real. Marketing is simply a battle of perceptions. We want to create this perception that what we have is something that's unique, and we can get lists. I think one of my favorite examples, James, is when you ask one of our new members, you'll say, well, do you have other realtors in your office that perhaps listed some new properties last night? And they come into the office and they tell you, hey, I just listed a new listing here and the new listing over there, and they're not on MLS yet. So would you, all of you, have access to homes that aren't even on the market yet? And the answer is yes. Could you access homes that have recently come off the market? Yes. Could you provide a list of fixer-upper properties? Well, it's your list. You could decide whatever you perceive to be a fixer-upper is a fixer-upper. You could pull off a list of vacant homes. Okay, and even the foreclosure list, understand that the reason the foreclosure list works, it's all based on perception. As realtors, we know that bank foreclosures don't always represent a better deal. We know that. But the public perceives that bank-owned properties represent a better deal. So that's why we offer a list of bank foreclosures or a list of fixer-uppers. It's not that factually they are better deals. Sometimes they're not. But because the public perceives they're a better deal, that's why the ads work. All right, let's look at a couple more ad examples, and then we'll go to take some more questions. So let's see which one we're on now, Andrea.
Okay. So we can, we have a few more Facebook. So I know we've already looked at a ton of those. Do you want to go ahead and move past
we've already
that?
looked at those.
Okay.
Yeah. There's not more we can say.
Go to ad number 9, please. Ad number 9. What I like about this is we're showing not only the Facebook ad, but we're also showing on a split screen what the landing page looks like. So the ad says Katie Home Sales. I think Katie is in Texas. Katie Home Sales report. Find out what the house down the street sold for. This information is free. Go to katiehomesalesreport.com. I would also have the domain name at the bottom of that map with the pins as well. And then when we click on that, the landing page says, know what homes are selling for in your neighborhood. Now, here's the thing about this. In the Facebook ad, we're very specific about Katy, K-A-T-Y. But on the headline here, we don't have Katy in it. It's in the subheadline. See, in black, it's in the subheadline. What would your home sell for? Get a free list of recent Katy home sales and active listings on your street and in your neighborhood. But I would have Katy in the headline as well. Right? The headline is what stands out there the most. Wouldn't you agree? Let's have a look at ad number 10. Free list of current distressed homes in Katy, including foreclosures and short sales. Free hot list service. Assist, so it says assist distressed home sellers by finding qualified and interested buyers for timely sales. Okay, so can I tell you the difference between the first sentence and the second sentence? The first sentence is mine, and the second sentence, our member made that up. So what do you guys like better? Okay, so my language is free list of current distressed homes in Katy, including foreclosures and short sales, and our member has added free hot list service, assist distressed home sellers by finding qualified and interested buyers for timely sales. I don't know, is it just me, or does that make no sense? That's hard to understand anyway. Then we go to a landing page, Katy distress sale, bank foreclosures. Okay, so we have Katy distress sale, bank foreclosures. We got the location and the benefit in the headline. Good work on the landing page. I do not like the secondary language in that second sentence in the ad.
23 leads.
How many?
23.
Look at this. I don't even like it, and it got 23 leads. This is the point, James, you were making earlier. Is the ads cannot be, may not be perfect, and they still work.
But it just goes to show the perception of distress sale is that there is a sense of urgency to get these properties, and it's because a distress sale is proprietary. It's not something you could get anywhere. It's something you can get here. So if you were to take out distress sale and just offer a regular list of properties, you wouldn't get anywhere near 23 leads.
What do you think of the picture of the specific house with distress sale stamped above it?
Yeah, it's dangerous to do that unless the house is representative of, properties in the area. And there are certain areas where, you could take a picture of, say, a home in Glenway Estates, and that would be pretty representative of, a lot of homes in Newmarket, for example. So, I mean, I don't think it's something that can't work. You just have to be very careful. If I'm looking at this and this is not even remotely representative of what I might be looking for, I could disqualify the ad just because of the picture when it's unnecessary. All that matters is this. Why don't you test a map? Test using a map.
Hey, James, remember a few minutes ago we were talking about Alexandra and, reading, she reads the magazines from front to back, but she reads the newspapers from back to front. And I said, Alexandra, maybe you were dropped on your head as a baby. She said she's going to ask her mom, but I'm looking at ad number 11, and I think she might have been dropped on her head, because let's have a look at this. I would like you to read this next ad, James.
Yes. Well, Alexandra, this explains a lot. You might also read from bottom to top.
All right. So I believe this is Russian. Am I correct?
Really? That's
yes.
your guess? I would say
yes.
really.
Yes.
It's Russian.
Yes. Well, I watched the Soviet 1972 series, and this is Russian. So, Alexandra, what marketplace are you? Are you in Toronto?
No.
Alexandra says, yeah, she's in San Diego. Okay, so obviously, Alexandra is bilingual, and she's targeting a Russian segment of the San Diego market. Now, you might be saying, Craig, you're a genius for deducting that, but am I correct on that?
I like that it says BAM, $1,000.
Yeah, BAM.
BAM.
Okay. Yes, Alexander says, Craig, you're a genius. So, Alexander, can you type in, what does this ad actually say in English? What's the translation of this?
Your home sold in 10 days, or bam, $1,000. I'm more curious about the publication it ran in, and obviously it's distributed in the Russian community in San Diego, is what I'm hoping to hear, as opposed to randomly running it as a direct mail piece or something like that. There obviously are Russian-speaking newspapers or periodicals of some sort.
Okay, now Andy Ford is asking, okay, Alexandra, is we assume the hotline recording is in Russian as well?
Oh, let's listen. That'd be great.
Do you want me to try it?
Badly, yes.
Okay, so we're going to try this. I am going to three-way call. We're going to call this 1-800 number and see what it sounds like.
Nice.
Oh, nope. Alexandra says, no, don't do it. It's not set up yet. And she says, of course, this is a newspaper ad, James.
Yes. Okay, in a Russian newspaper.
Correct.
That's what we care about, yes. Good.
Okay, all right. Well, look, I wish we could help you with this, but neither James or I speak Russian. It's one of the few languages that James doesn't speak.
Yes, very rusty. My Russian is rusty. I haven't used it in a while.
Let's go to ad number 12, please. Andrea, are you still there?
Yes, I see it, 12.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
There's
I'm
a lot
here.
going on here.
All right, there it is, ad number 12.
This
All
is
right, James, you can...
trying to be everything to everybody is what's happening right here. And my fear is nothing will get read here. You need a headline. You need an ad for the ad. You need to grab attention by having a headline. Now, is this like a tri-fold flyer? Would that be your guess, Craig? You see how it's sort of divided up that way, almost like it's a tri-fold?
Yes, perhaps it is a little booklet, a little handout.
Yeah, something like that.
Is John with us? John, maybe you can type in, give us an idea as to how you're using this marketing piece.
Because if this is branded...
A trifold, yes, John says it's a trifold.
What you really want to do is you want to use some kind of a USP to associate, since this is branded, right? First of all, let's establish branded, unbranded. This is branded. This is branded from Treehouse Realty, specifically from John. And so the way that you're going to grab attention is by having some kind of unique selling proposition, maybe a performance guarantee.
Well,
that would
he
grab
kind
the
of
attention
does.
of a
It says in the middle, it's kind of lost there, James, but in the middle panel it says stop renting and buy a new home with my guarantee renters move-up program, but he doesn't talk about what that program is. He doesn't explain it.
Right. So if it said, you know, guaranteed to save you $5,000 on your home purchase, guaranteed, or, you know, I'll save you $1,000, or I don't know, but a USP, some sort of a guarantee that explains how the program benefits you. If this is a trifold, then the headline right now is Renters Move Up Program. But what is the Renters Move Up Program? What is it? Is it you know, properties own your own property for less than rent? But I think you need to be a lot more specific in terms of the benefit. There are a lot of big pictures in here that grab attention, but don't have any kind of benefit. The picture of the front porch, there's the family with the baby. Again, there's a lot going on here, but there's nothing that specifically grabs your attention as it should.
Well, look, I'm trying to keep an open mind as I look at this, and I just don't see where it's telling me, like, where's the offer? You know, what are you offering me here? That's what I'm asking. What are you offering me, and where's the call to action? You know, what are you offering me, and what are you telling me to do? Well, I can see it says for more information, text, but what kind of information? Like, what am I going to derive by texting no rent to 555-888? You know, is it a free special report that explains how I'm going to benefit from the program? It's just kind of generic. And then it says above that, I can fix that. I'll get you qualified for a mortgage. It laundry lists a few benefits. It's just kind of a confusing flyer, I think. So we got to look at every marketing piece, and we've got to say, at the beginning, we've got this set out, okay, what is it that we want prospects to do? We want them to contact us. Okay, so why are they going to do the thing that we want them to do? We can't just wish it. We can't just say do it without giving them a reason to do it. If you want to get people to do what you want them to do, you have to give them what they want first. So that's what's not clear with this marketing piece is we've got a guaranteed renter move-up program, but I don't really I don't really understand what it is or exactly what you want me to do. The only call to action I can really find here is the text message, where you're just saying, text me for more information without being really too specific about what I'm going to get if I was to do that. Okay, Ellen Levy is asking, what's on the other side, the inside of that flyer? Do we have the other side?
Yep.
Right? If it's a trifold, there, Ellen is quite right. There is a flip side to this. John says, great critique, thanks. Hey, John, let's work on this, okay? Let's work on this together, and we can do this every week until we get it right. Like, you've got the right idea, okay? That's the thing. So if you've got the right idea, you want to offer a program, you know who you're targeting, right? You're targeting first-time buyers. So, you've accomplished that. You know who you want to target. So we've got to work on, okay, well, what is the problem you're really going to solve for these people? What is the outstanding offer you're going to make? Or if you're making a guarantee, let's spell out the guarantee, not just say we have one. So, this is a work in progress. We'll keep working on this, John, until we have something that's effective. And then we've got to think about, well, what are we going to do with it? Let's say that this was a perfect marketing piece now. So we've got this trifold flyer. Well, what are we doing with it? We're going to direct mail it? Who are we going to direct mail it? Or is there another way to distribute this? So let's work on this together and see if we can come up with something that will actually make you way more than what you're spending on this pretty marketing piece. Next, we're going to go to Julia. And Julia is asking, do you advise sending out a foreclosure list of homes not listed in the MLS, or simply send out MLS listings which state bank owned? Well, you could do both. I never did, Julia. What I did is I had my assistant every day check the hot sheets, and anything that was bank owned, because it would say, under owner's name, the name of the bank, so it would be pretty obvious. If it said, Toronto Dominion Bank, or said the Bank of Montreal, well, she would photocopy that, and we'd place it in a file, our foreclosure file. I wasn't too worried about the list that I was sending the prospects, because as you probably discovered, the buyer never usually buys one of the homes you send them anyway. You're going to get, that's the excuse to get the buyer to call you as you're offering the list of homes, and then you follow up and you qualify them, and if they sound like they're motivated and they're ready to take action in the near future, you're going to meet with them, sign them up to a buyer agency agreement, and then you're going to sell them something on MLS that's probably not one of your listings, and it's probably not a bank foreclosure at all. But they wouldn't have contacted you in the first place had you not offered the list of foreclosure properties. Let's look at ad number 13. This is from our good buddy Vic. Vic is in Glendale, California, and this appears to be a postcard. See, it says cutting line, so I'm a genius. I'm going to think that that's a postcard, right? Your home sold for 100% of your asking price guaranteed, or I'll pay you the difference. Call Vic and start packing for a free report that details this exclusive offer. Now, you could have a hotline number there as well, Vic.
It's a business card.
It's a business card, so okay. It could be a postcard though, right? You just make it bigger. All a postcard is, a branded postcard is just a big business card. But anyway, it's a business card. Do we have the other side of the business card? Yeah, number 14. Let's look at it. Okay, so this side, number 13, is targeting sellers. The flip side of the business card is targeting buyers. I have over 4,100 buyers. No, this is for sellers as well. I stand corrected. This is targeting sellers as well. Both sides of Vic's business card are targeting sellers. I have over 4,100 buyers in waiting in our database looking for a home. Your home may already be sold. Call Vic and start packing. I like his domain, vichasthebuyers.com. Your home sold for 100% of your asking price guaranteed, or I'll pay you the difference. So both sides of Vic's business card are targeting home sellers. Ad number next, please. Okay, James, why don't you go at this one, and I will read some of the questions in chat while you're doing that.
Okay, so I'm hoping that this is direct mail. And it says, find out what homes in your Glendale neighborhood are selling for, which is great. I love that it says Glendale. And this is probably Vic, but it is a less branded. So it is Markarian Realty, and that's Vic. And Vic knows that if the focus is on the salesperson, then the prospect would be more reluctant to read the USP or to read the benefit. The WIFM, what's in it for me. So find out what homes in your Glendale neighborhood are selling for. Here's what I really like about this is there's a sample. That's a really cool idea, is to have a sample so that the prospect has an expectation as to what it is they're going to get when they, in this case, when they call in for the 24-hour recorded information to get the sales report. I'd like Vic to test this using a web, using the landing page as well as the hotline. Now, what I'm guessing is on the other side of this postcard is the web version of this offer. So this is the hotline side. The other side is the website. And if Vic's doing it that way, perfect. That way, everybody is handled, regardless of whether your preference is to go online or whether it's to call into the hotline. See, the one good thing about the hotline is this. A huge percentage of the prospects that call into the hotline are calling in expecting to leave a message because they know that all they can do is order the sales report. That's all they can do over the phone. They can't possibly, look at anything over a phone line. So when they pick up the phone and call this number, they're expecting that they're going to leave a message. And so a huge percentage of them do. Whereas when they go onto the website, far more of them will go onto the website. It's obviously a lot easier, and the idea is immediate gratification. The impression you have is you will immediately access these properties. Now, you can, but you have to first give information in terms of what you're looking for or your home, etc. But I really like this. This is a really good example of a less branded direct mail postcard.
Vic is asking a question about the font in his business card. Now look at right now ad number 15 that we're all seeing. This is using my font. Okay, this is an Arial font. Now,
very easy to read.
Okay, so let's have a little vote on this, folks. So Vic is asking, hey Craig and fellow coaching members, what font do you like better? Do you like the font I've used here in ad number 15 on my postcard, or do you like the font I've used on my business card? And Andrea, if we can go to Vic's business card, which font is easier to read? This one you're seeing right now, or number 13 is the one I'm looking for. Okay, so you can see Vic is kind of fancied it up here. Okay, your home sold. I don't know what font that is. It must be a name for that font. But would you agree that it's a little more difficult to read the type on Vic's business card on ad 13 than it is on the font on Vic's postcard that we just looked at? And of course the answer is yes. So here's what happens, Vic. You have a graphic person, right? And they want to make your stuff look pretty. They want to make it look groovy. And what they do in making it look cool and groovy is they make it harder to read. So do we purposely want to make our marketing more difficult to read for the prospect? Let's go back now to the postcard. That's number 13. Okay, and here's number 15. I don't know, you guys tell me what's easier to read. So Vic, what you're doing is you're paying this graphic person to make your compelling headline more difficult to read, in my humble opinion. Okay, what we're going to do now is going to take a few more questions, and then we're going to wrap it up because we're at the top of the hour and because it's Friday. And in Canada, it's a long weekend this weekend. It's Canadian Thanksgiving on Monday, but we're still going to be doing a helpline call on Monday led by James McDonald.
There you go.
Because James is in California, so there's no Thanksgiving there for another month or so. So let me see if we've got any
We're always
questions.
thankful.
Yeah, see if we have any of the questions that have not been answered here. James, do you have any amazing points you want to make while I'm searching through our unanswered questions?
Not that haven't been made already. So any questions that we have, now would be the chance.
Well, Austin says, Austin Goodell says, I read the publications like James McDonald. I read them from the front to back, but my wife, Lynn, is like Craig. She reads these things backwards from back to front. So we've learned that today.
Yeah, that's an odd trait, I gotta say.
And if we didn't get to your ad today, there were a few that we didn't get to, I will be saving those, and we will review those next week. So I don't want any of our members to be disappointed.
All right, well, I'm going to try to review as many as I can here before we wrap this up. Michelle London. Michelle, are you still with us? Sorry, Michelle. She asked this question about 20 minutes ago. I found it here. Michelle says, I've been doing the Google AdWords for a week, set up my Success website, and I've gotten no responses whatsoever. Zero, zippo, nothing. I live in very busy Orange County, California. Shouldn't I have got at least a nibble? Well, James, you're in California.
Well, as our a huge percentage of our students.
Okay, so look, this is what we all know about direct response advertising. If it doesn't work, there's no use continuing to do it over and over again. Michelle, my advice would be I would get on the phone with Success website and I would be discussing this right away. I promise you this, if you keep doing it, it'll continue not working. Just like if you find something that works, it'll continue to work. That's the beauty with direct response marketing. What's frustrating, James, is every once in a while we'll have a new coaching member that'll say, I've been doing this for a month, I've been doing this for a month, I've been doing this for a month, and none of these things are working. Well, it doesn't take a month to discover something isn't working. So I like Michelle's, she's drawing attention to this right now. She's saying, look, I've been doing this for a week, and I'm getting zippo. I'm getting nothing from this. So Michelle, save your money. Do not continue doing this. You need to call Success website and say, look, I've done it for a week. I've got nothing. Let's make sure. Let's troubleshoot this. Let's make sure that technically this is going to work. My website's working. Let's look at the ads. Let's try.
We have to change the ad. In other words, the message, what we're offering in the ad. We have to change the keywords. Okay, that's another variable we could change. We could change the budget, the bid per click. Okay, that is going to make your ad more visible in very busy Orange County. Right, that's a reality. But you're not going to change all things at once. You're going to change one variable at a time, so we know which one is going to make the difference. If we change everything at once, then we don't know, what may have caused us to get a different result.
Okay, so here's one thing we know for sure, though, Michelle. We have many, many, many successful Craig Proctor members.
David Delgado is in Orange County. David Delgado. He probably sells upwards of 200 homes a year. And his lead generation, primarily online stuff, Google, etc.
Okay, next question is from Jane Hislop. Jane says, Craig and James, I know you said not to worry about what others are doing, but when I open my local paper, there are 4 ads in the classified section. And when I go onto Facebook, at any given time, there's at least 5 ads running. Are there any suggestions?
I want you to take the total number of transactions in your marketplace every month and divide it by 5, and then I want to ask you, are you okay with that?
Okay, he's being a bit of a smart aleck there, Jane, but what he's basically saying is, this is, if we really think about it, what we believe is that there's scarcity out there, and it's not true. If our program helps you easily reach your goal, you wouldn't be worried that the other 4 or 5 agents running these ads are also successfully reaching their goals as well. There are tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of transactions in your marketplace. There's room for many, many, many Craig Proctor members. In my very best years of selling real estate, I did about 500 to 600 transactions a year in the city of Toronto, where there's over 200,000 transactions. There was room for me to do 500 to 600 transactions, plus there was room for many, many, many other Craig Proctor members to also make a lot of money and easily reach their goals. So,
James,
you're
never going to get everybody. You know, here's a great analogy. All right, in my marketplace, there is an area, as I'm sure there are in every one of your marketplaces, where you've got what is essentially restaurant row. You walk down the street, and on either side of the street, it's all restaurants down both sides of the street. Not only are they all restaurants down both sides of the street, but in this particular area, I'd say that, 3 to 1 are Mexican restaurants. So you would think, well, that's kind of pointless. I mean, somebody's probably going out of business. But it isn't true. That's not true at all. All of them are very, very busy. Even though you'd think that there was duplication going on there, there already is a restaurant, let alone there already are Mexican restaurants. There is such abundance of people eating food at restaurants that they can survive. Now, look at your real estate business and look at the total number of transactions every month, and it'll give you some insight into how little you would need to make a massive impact on your business. And in the grand scheme of all the transactions, it really represents a drop in the bucket. So if somebody else is also successful generating leads with the same kind of ads, you're perfectly okay with that, provided you also are generating leads from the ads as well. Base it on what you get, not your perception of what somebody else might be getting. And if you do that, any kind of mentality of scarcity, it goes away as soon as you discover you can get more than you need.
Yeah, if the ads aren't working, you're going to think it's because of what these other agents are doing. If the ads are working well, you wouldn't be worried if the other realtors are also doing well. So what it really comes down to is let's get your ads working well. James, everything you just said, I am going to summarize it with something I've heard you say that makes this very concise. Always let the response that you get dictate what you'll continue doing. It's got nothing to do with what other realtors are doing.
Right. Yep.
Always let the response that you get dictate what you're going to do and continue doing. Okay, next question. Oh, now I lost my spot.
Oh, dear.
Okay, just entertain everybody for a minute here, James, while I find my spot here. Okay, it was a good one, too.
Is everyone thinking about Mexican food?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's this got to do with tacos?
See how Canadian you are. You immediately think of tacos.
Okay, I lost my spot. Oh, I know what it was. It was from somebody asking about do we let other companies, I think it was vet our ads. I didn't really know what that meant, but I mean, are we talking about, maybe we're talking about bold leads?
What are we saying? What is the question, sorry?
I don't know. I can't find it. If I had the question, it would make it a lot easier to ask it to you. Hang on. It's here. See, I'm under immense pressure to find the question now.
While you're looking at that, I noticed it's funny how we can really tell people's personalities on our chat box just from things they type in. A lot of our members are saying, please, please, please have your ads and marketing proofread because they're finding spelling mistakes as we go along.
Yeah, that's terrible, and that is inexcusable. Because if you would have a spelling mistake in your ad, it means that you could also have a mistake in the phone number, right? You could have a mistake in the domain name. A misspelled domain name means you just completely wasted your money on the ad.
Found it. Patrick Russell. Have any members used a vetted lead service to generate sales?
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay, so explain.
Absolutely. Like, for example, Craig, you just mentioned bold leads. Bold leads run, well, primarily Facebook ads, but they do pay-per-click as well. And that's what they do. They're a lead generation company. They will manage your Facebook ads. And from day one, and I literally mean from day one, you will have leads in your inbox from your Facebook ads, and you have nothing to do with it at all. You don't touch it. You don't do anything. You don't run the ads. You don't look at the ads. You leave it all to them. They run the ads in your marketplace. They generate the leads primarily for online home evaluations. The leads come directly to your email inbox, and you are the skilled expert at lead follow-up and conversion. So, and you know what, to a degree, that's what Success Website do. You know, to a degree. They work with you, but there are companies that do that completely. SmartZip is another one where they focus on direct mail. First of all, they do some analytics to determine not only the areas of high activity, but what home owners in that particular area are likely to list most like soonest. It's pretty incredible what they do. I mean, they use thousands of points of data to determine who's most likely to sell their home in the next 6 months or 3 months, and they're right. It's like they have a crystal ball. Not only do they determine who is going to move, but then they market specifically to that person or those people in that particular zip code. And they do it all for you. The leads just come to you. That's all you know. The leads come to you. But of course, you have to pay for it. What we're saying is this: if you're starting with the system, begin by running your own ads. Do your own lead generation to begin with. And then you can begin to supplement with some of these other lead generation companies. And that's what most of our platinum level students do. They didn't start by doing that. Generate leads on your own inexpensively, and then justify taking a portion of the commission as if it was a referral and investing that back into more marketing, more of what you're doing, and branching out into some of these other things as well.
James, was that SmartZip, or can you repeat? A lot of people missed what company.
SmartZip?
Is that?
Yeah, SmartZip.
Okay.
Yeah, SmartZip is the direct mail one. Bold leads I really like. Commissions Inc. is incredible. It's ZBuyer, yeah, ZBuyer. Can't believe I forgot ZBuyer. ZBuyer is great.
All right, Christy's asking a question here. How are people creating these marketing pieces, like the business card that we just looked at or the postcards? Are they creating themselves using Photoshop or something else and then sending them to a printer, or is the printer designing things for them? Okay, so let me answer how I did it. I would, when I was creating these initially, I was just write them out like in a rough piece of paper, send it to my printer. They have a graphic person. I go back and forth. But you guys don't have to do that because you have all the templates right from the coaching site that you can just, you can just send over to your printer and say, make it look like this. You see, the problem is when you take the marketing pieces that you're paying me to use, and then you play with it yourself and make it look different. What we want you to do is just copy what's been proven to work. And I know that's hard for some of you because you're entrepreneurial. You like to mess around with this stuff yourself. But that's the danger. If James McDonald was to buy a McDonald's franchise and decide, well, I don't like the golden arches. I'm going to change the logo and I'm going to change the recipe.
What I would do is I would change it to McDonald's first. It'd be the first thing I would do.
Yes. Add the A.
Yes.
Do you want to know an interesting story? Do you know what actually is McDonald's?
Yes, it is. That's right.
Did everyone know that?
The McDonald brothers, McDonald. Yes.
You never know what you're going to learn by attending the ad clinic on Friday.
Yes.
We're here to educate and entertain.
I went to the very spot in San Bernardino where the very first McDonald's was, and it's very disappointing because McDonald's doesn't own it. They don't own the spot. I don't know why, but they don't. So there's nothing there. There's some old store. So it's kind of disappointing, but it is kind of neat to think that these guys, they didn't understand that their concept could be duplicated in other marketplaces, but they sure did understand efficiency and systems.
The McDonald's brother actually tried to franchise it and failed, and that's why when Ray Kroc came along, they were willing to give up the rights to McDonald's for a song, because they had already tried to franchise it. Yeah, they already knew McDonald's couldn't be franchised. Anyway, a couple more questions before we wrap this up. Okay, Alexandra, she's given this more thought, and she says, you know, the comics used to be in the back of the newspapers, and I think that's why I got used to reading newspapers from back to front. Good point.
Okay, maybe.
Okay, now
sports pages.
Julia wants to know, do you Canadians eat turkeys on Thanksgiving, or do you eat Canadian goose?
What is a turkey? I've never heard of such an animal. Sounds interesting. Turkey?
We actually have turkeys. All the Canadian geese have flown south by now.
Yes.
You wouldn't even be able to get one. All right. I think we're out of time here.
But, you know, ham is not as popular. I find ever since I've lived here in the U.S., ham is very, very popular, as much so as turkey. But in Canada, I find ham is unheard of. It's only turkey.
Well, do you guys stuff your turkeys? Here in Texas, we have like turkey stuffed with duck, stuffed with chicken.
We stuff it with stuffing. We call it stuffing. Yeah.
Try stuffing it with another bird. It's really good.
Put another bird inside a bird? That's just mean.
Okay, we better wrap this up, folks. All you Canadian members, have a wonderful Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
The helpline will be on as
Monday
always. So even if you're in Canada here and you want to come on the helpline on Thanksgiving Day, James McDonough will be taking care of that. So I want to thank everyone for submitting their ads. Have yourself a great weekend, and we'll talk to everybody next week. That concludes today's helpline webinar. Thank you.
Uncle Paulie.